Felicitations! It is me, Felicia Day, and this is my podcast. Welcome. Welcome. This is the third experiment of doing a podcast live to Twitch. So if you guys ever want to see me live talking to a camera for 45 minutes alone, I'm going to get some guests in. I'm working on how to get the guest audio. I'm not even sure. I might be able to just peel it off the Twitch channel and not do a professional recording. I don't know. It seems like a lot of work. There are a couple of places where you can have your friend dial in and you just download the audio and then it just happens. And then I started snoozing because I was reading the description. I mean, to be fair, I've learned so much in the last month and a half or 4 months really about live streaming, about everything, camera technology, even though Toronto Gal did that for me as well. True story. If you have seen any of my Twitch streams, which I'm doing about 3 or 4 a week now, and it's very fun. But my camera looks amazing. And I am doing a lot of Zoom meetings with producing and writing and, just all sorts of development, all these things. And basically, I get poached. So especially actors will try to poach my settings. Hey, friend. I like to call them hey friend emails because they're always people you haven't talked to in years. And these are the kind of people, I think I mentioned this before, but I'm going to tell the same story because that's me. And it's quarantine. I have very few more stories, but it's like the people who you don't talk to, but then it's like creak, open the door. Hey friend, how are you doing? By the way, I need something from you. Those are the ones who always popped up during San Diego Comic-Con who would try to get to my parties because it was the hot party. Click, click, hey friend. So I'm getting a lot of click, click, hey friend emails about my camera settings, which I'm fine to share. I mean, listen, I did some of the work myself. My mods did some of the work, especially Toronto Gal with the settings. I guess I won't give away the settings quite yet. They can work for that. Anyway, so I am so happy to report that very little has happened in the last 2 weeks. I played a lot less Animal Crossing. I've been writing, and you guys, it has been 2 years almost since I have said, hey, I'm working on a really big writing project. Well, still working on it. I'm still working on it, but I'm doing the second big rewrite on it. I will be doing one more little polish, but then you guys will it's actually going to get made. You guys are going to be able to listen to it, and it's going to be wonderful, and I'm really excited about it. I've never written anything so long. It's like 450 script pages. So I am very, very proud of it. It makes me laugh a lot, and hopefully one day I will stop working on it so I can move on, because at no point during this 2-year process have I really should have been working on other things at the same time. But sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, right? So, and I also had a decaf coffee, and I'm talking twice as fast. So this might be faster than I usually do. I noticed that I am really, really on a clip, but that's usually me anyway. So I've been writing. I also got a pair of $9 bangs from Amazon because, okay, so I decided I really want to cut my hair. And I'm a little bit in hair jail because Supernatural, I guess they're starting filming just the last couple episodes now. I don't know if I'll be, I don't know what my status is with that show. Whether, I am going to be in the last half, in the back half of the episodes, but of course I always hold out for anything else. So until they're finished shooting completely, I don't want to cut my hair or anything. So I'm in hair jail, self-imposed, but I really want a haircut because it's getting to that point where it'll get under my arm, but it's not quite thick enough to be luscious about it. Do you know what I'm saying? The Kardashians. I mean, that's not their real hair. I'm sure, 100% sure. But anyway, so basically I bought some bangs that I got on Amazon because I was like, well, they're those little baby bangs that hipsters are wearing, and they really frame those 22-year-old faces really cutely, and it's all shaggy and so cute. So I was like, instead of just jumping in and just going all bangs, I decided to just basically get some fake bangs. And I didn't want to pay. I was either $50 for high quality bangs or $9 for low quality bangs. And of course I went low quality. Who's gonna invest in bangs? So I got them. And needless to say, the reviews were not kind. I posted some, and actually the cover for this episode, I'm putting the shorty bangs on, and it is not a flattering look. It, quote unquote, a friend of mine who said, well, you're the lost Dumb and Dumber sibling. And I also, the lost, because Dumb and Dumber, they had the, Jim Carrey, yeah, you know what I'm saying. And then also my friend Amy Okuda, who I stream frequently with, was like, no, I love it. You look like one of those people who doesn't care what they look like. And she genuinely meant it as a compliment. She meant that as a compliment. So no, the bangs were wretched. And I decided, but then here's the secret. I actually wear them around the house sometimes just for funs. Because they have like their long bangs on the side to blend, and then they're short bang. And like if you've lowered them to like around eyebrow level, they're not horrible. I don't look horrible with bangs. I did a whole season of Supernatural with bangs, and I actually thought I looked quite cute there. Okay, so objectively. So they aren't bad at a certain length, but you can like move them up, kind of like just move your scalp up and down. And that's what I do sometimes just to scare my baby. And she looks at me, my 3-year-old looks at me, he's like, I take those off. I don't recognize you, mama. So I'm going to traumatize her with a bob. Anyway, that's what I did. I mean, I'm literally 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks, it has been a nadir. And that's a word. And I don't know how to pronounce it. Nadir. It's the lowest point in quarantine for me now because I feel like I fell in a pit and I can't get out. I have been streaming quite a bit. And I enjoy it so much, you guys. And then I sort of had an existential crisis. Like, what are you doing? You're investing all your time in streaming. What do you want from life? Are you building toward anything? You're not going to be a professional streamer. What are you doing? And I did that thing. Do you guys do that thing? Usually it's right before you're trying to sleep, around 12:30, like you kind of tossed and turned for 45 minutes. Your brain's like, well, what can I really freak you out with? So that's what I kind of started doing. And like, I realized that, well, I can't make any long-term plans. I mean, I can't be like, well, work harder at your acting. I guess I could be writing, but I'm writing already. I'm not going to write more. And then I was just like, screw it. I really enjoy it. But here's the thing this is the problem with being an internet personality and trying to like do evergreen content. It is also, I do have a kid. That's a good point. I have a kid and it's quarantine and I'm doing my best. And I don't know how to add more hours in the day. I feel like I'm working all day, every day, and then I feel lazy, but that's just default me. But I do feel like there's a constant battle between being an online person and constantly outputting, right? Because that's what you need to be there, right? You need to show up for your audience, for your community to have that connection. But at the same time, you're not able to live enough to get more experiences. So you run dry. And I know that happened to me several years ago when I was just like, I got nothing else to share. And as an artist, I certainly have been a dry well for years because I'm just like, you're only living to be out there. You're not living to save up your experiences and then putting them out to the world to form them into a bigger, longer term thing. So I feel like I've kind of gotten over that hump. Like I do feel like, I'd like to tell that story or something. And it has not been like that for years. And I think maybe I overthink it. I should just go with whatever I really want to do. And right now I'm really enjoying streaming. So whatever, you guys. So that's it. I've been having crazy joint pain and backaches. And there was this interesting article in the New York Times about how we've all just hit a wall in quarantine. It's been 4.5 months and it's really discouraging because especially, I don't know if you guys are in a big city, some people are a lot like freer. They never get really shut down. Some of them have already kind of come through it, especially in Europe. But it feels like in Los Angeles, especially, we got locked up and they kind of let it go a little bit. And then now we're just worse off than we ever were. And we're just like, well, it's bad. It's still bad. Is it ever going to end? Did we do all that for nothing? It's just it's very upsetting. And I almost feel like, I know a lot of people have been working the whole time during quarantine. I mean, it's not necessarily, we've been locked in our houses, but we have been radically changing all of our lifestyles in a way, trying to be as careful as possible. And it doesn't seem to be paying off for some reason. And I think that's, and bringing that back around to the body stuff, I tweeted the other day, I'm just like, I'm so tired. And it was an interesting point in that this guy named Mike mentioned that his doctor said that maybe it was called deconditioning. And I looked up, it's a really interesting term. So deconditioning, it means it's a complex process of physiological change following a period of inactivity or sedentary or bed rest lifestyle. So it results in functional loss of areas like your mental area, your physical area, and your ability to just accomplish everyday tasks. I'm like, whoa, is this what we're all going through? Because, I mean, I try to challenge myself, and I was challenging myself early on in quarantine. I was actually like, whoa, let's learn mandolin. I already talked about this, but there was sort of this sort of idea that, especially physically, we're very not as, I mean, I'm not as active. I mean, I certainly wasn't like going to the gym I would like maybe once a week, maybe, probably not. But I certainly was more active physically, and mentally, I was really good early in quarantine. And now I'm just like, it's fallen into a pattern of behavior that I think is not particularly fulfilling and maybe a little self-destructive, especially physically. So, and I was kind of Googling around. I was really interested in this deconditioning thing because also there's idea of, you're supposed to maybe, I feel like I was deconditioning after quarantine started because I was kind of like changing my patterns of behavior, right? So deconditioning is also like trying to decondition you from like a phobia or whatever. And I'm not a doctor, so I could be saying absolute crap right now. Please don't take my anything I'm saying for the grain of salt. But there is the idea that maybe we had such a radical change in lifestyle, and that maybe that sparked some things, but it also maybe traumatized us to the point where we became really numb, and we just are going through this rote sort of process of living without any sort of future thing to build to. And I think a lot of that motivates us and keeps our hope up that things will get better. And it feels like right now, boy, are we dipping. And a lot of my friends also are feeling this. They're like, well, I don't know, I guess this is it. And so we're kind of dealing with living in trauma, because it is trauma until we have a sense of normalcy back. And I don't even know what that will be. So anyway, it's just interesting to think about how we may be physically and mentally, in a physical way, mentally affected by all this, and we might not be aware of it. So I guess my advice to everybody, if you're feeling any of this depression, anxiety, sort of drowning in the moment versus like being able to live, in the future a little bit, I would say that really examine the patterns of behavior you've fallen into. Like for me, while I'm writing, I will reflexively like go and look at Twitter for like 90 seconds every 5 minutes. And I'm just like, where did this come from? Are you learning anything? And I was like, at the end of the day, the other day, I was like, okay, I'm going to challenge you to remember one thing that you read on Twitter that actually impacted you in a positive way. Nothing. I can't remember it. Do you remember what you saw on Facebook yesterday? No? Do you remember what you were reading on Twitter? No, it's just this. I look at Feedly. I have this crazy RSS thing with hundreds of blogs, and I just kind of flick through it. And yeah, sometimes one thing will impact me, and I'll remember. Like, but really, the things that impact me are the things that I'm learning with my baby. Like the other day, we decided to. I'm trying to limit screen time, but it's impossible. So basically, I will let her watch a couple science videos with me on YouTube if we find something interesting in a book that we want to learn further about. So she had this book on ants that said ants sometimes farm aphids. And I was like, that's weird. I've never heard of that. That's a very odd thing. And so we looked up this crazy video on YouTube about how ants farm aphids. Like really, okay, so aphids land on a plant, you guys, and they're like little lumps, and they eat a plant until it's dead, or, they get their fill and then they move to another plant. The whole colony will move. And by the way, aphids are born pregnant. Those poor aphids. Anyway, but what ants will do is they will crawl and snip off the wings of the aphids so they can't move. And so basically the aphids are stuck there on that plant, and then the ants will use their feelers in the creepiest way possible. It looks like a shiatsu massage, you guys, and will milk honeydew, something called honeydew. It's not an actual honeydew melon. It's like a drop of dew out their butthole, and they farm them. And when an aphid has a baby, one ant will give that baby to another ant so they can start their own aphid farm. Just look it up on YouTube, okay? The ants like tap the little aphids who can't fly away because they cut their wings off. It's a little creepy, but the aphids seem to like it because they just are like, because they'll feed the aphids too, right? So they take care of the aphids. They're farming aphids, these ants. Did anybody ever hear of this? I didn't go to school, so sometimes maybe I missed aphid honeydew butt licking class. It's very weird, but really I urge you to look it up on YouTube, because if you see an ant do this, it's so creepy. Anyway, but I learned that and I'll never forget it. And I'm not seeing that on Twitter. I'm seeing a lot of people who agree with me yell about politics and make no difference. Okay? That's what I'm seeing. And we all get into this frenzy of outrage about something that the EPA, they're doing to the EPA. And yet we're not actuating any change. And the people in charge don't seem to be punishing anybody for anything. And like, it's like very impotent frustration that I basically am inflicting myself 40 times a day. So I'm going to try to use that sort of like that program that John Scalzi, the novelist, uses. I forget the name of it, but it basically blacks out your social media until for a certain period of time. And I'm going to try that, but I think it's going to be hard because it has been a reflexive sort of impulse for me that I've dived into during this quarantine. And it's like, if you tabbed over and learned one Spanish word every single time, or if you just even wrote in a diary when you're bored with what you're working on, like you have something at the end, not just this Twitter crap. I don't know. Anyway, so deconditioning, that's okay. So for books, I'm going to move on to books now. And I actually, books. Also, I want to urge everybody to please join the Discord channel. I have a Discord channel, discord.gg/Felicia Day. I'm sure some of you who are not like tech savvy are like, what is this thing Felicia keeps pushing? It is not, it's a free place for you guys to hang out and chat. That's all. I just love it. It's a great community place. I put my Twitch schedule on there. I share other things that I'm doing. Like this weekend, I'm doing a Masters of the Universe RPG on Saturday. And, you know, I'm always doing random stuff during the week. So I urge you to check it out if you like my work and come on over. It is, again, you do not have to be tech savvy. It's just basically chat. It's like ICQ or AOL Messenger, but like with different categories. So we have like, you know, Animal Crossing is the one I check the most. And another shout out to the Wikia for this podcast. If you like any of the things I do here and are like, what was she talking about 4 episodes ago? Sean Sandalooky Look, my mod, gathers all the notes, puts them up in a beautiful place, and I refer to it many times a week to figure out what I read 6 months ago. So it is felicitations.fandom.com. Thank you, Sean. So books, guess what, you guys? You're not going to believe it. You're not. Because I finished Herodotus's histories. Woo woo! Yeah. Ancient Greek history is done. It's not really done, but like that book is done. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? It feels good. It feels really good that I saw something through that I did. It's been 3 months, you guys. And it really has sucked up all my time reading. So I have to say, I'm really proud of myself. There were some really boring parts, y'all, but there was also some fascinating parts. I know I talked about it a lot last week, but I still haven't listened to that Dan Carlin podcast. It's like a 3-hour podcast on the Persian War, the Second Persian War. But it really is like, I got goosebumps a couple of times when he was describing like the 300, the Thermopylae, and also like that ending battle. It was really quite fascinating, and it made me excited. And it made an ancient time come to life for me in a way that I think when you read a firsthand experience, it's much better than reading like a history book. And so I was really fascinated with that. There's also it's not a book, but it's a podcast. You guys know I love Fall of Civilizations podcast. They just released a podcast on Byzantium and the fall of Byzantium, which is so fascinating because I've read a lot of books on that, and like their emperor situation was crazy, and like I kind of thought, oh, they're really weird and deviant. But then when you think about Byzantium as a culture, they actually had many like sheep herders and swine herders and peasants become emperor. And it was like almost this weird society where you could climb up from nothing to become the emperor, whereas the Western Europe sort of institutionalized itself in this inherited monarchy for hundreds of years. So it made me see the whole civilizations in a different way. So as a podcast, I would highly recommend listening to that. And as a book, I don't know if I'd recommend listening to Herodotus' history as a first out, but certainly it is really fascinating to me. So I really, really, really wanted to continue my dive into ancient literature because I'm nerding out about it right now. And I went to get Ovid. Now, Ovid wrote around 1 AD, and he was in Rome, and that's very different from Herodotus, which is he was writing around 500 BC, so 500 years before Ovid. Herodotus was writing, and then Homer was writing around 800 BC, about 1200 BC. So, like, guys, thousands of years ago, we actually have like knowledge about what people live like, and it's not that different from us, except people really had to be afraid that a warring tribe would come in and kill everybody and enslave everyone. I mean, that's kind of what I learned about Greek history, is that you could not let your guard down, and people would die a lot of all sorts of things. So death had to be, it had to affect the way that you loved people and thought of the future, because you didn't know if you had a future, and you had to be a lot more into defending yourself physically. And so it was kind of, I like to put myself in the mindset of a character or a person who would live in another era. And what I love is finding universals, but also I do love the differences and how privileged we are to live in a time now when we don't have to worry about somebody just coming into our home and just, ruining our lives, and being physically assaulted and all that stuff. So anyway, so I turned to Ovid, and I was going to read Metamorphosis, which is a book of basically Ovid kind of reinterpreting Greek myths or ancient myths for the Romans. So, I can't wait to read it because, and I'm going to read that next. After I read another book that I'll talk about. But then I was reading up on Ovid, and he wrote this book called, he wrote this book called The Art of Love. And I was like, what is this? Is it just like some romantic poetry? Oh, no, you guys. Guys, do you know The Game? That douchebag, terrible person who invented the NEG, the neg, that insulting a woman to make them more attracted to you? All of that crap. I actually did a deep dive into researching this because was it 2? Season 2 of The Guild? It was either season 2 or season 4. Anyway, Zabu gets really jerky, and he's trying to like win over Codex, but like as a man. And so I read a lot of these sort of, and they were pre-incel. This is like pre-incel, okay? Because there were always incels and stuff like that, but this kind of laid the groundwork for that culture on the internet. Anyway, this guy wrote this book about picking up women, and it's the most vile bullshit, so pardon my French, that you would ever say. So I know, and Ovid he wrote this book called The Art of Love, and it's basically a guide about how men can pick up women. Now, I know that Ovid is sort of a humorist in a sense, so we don't know how literally he was, meaning this poem. It might have just been sort of a tongue-in-cheek thing. But there are some really vile, and I want to read a couple quotes to you. I'm going to read a couple of fun things in there. He is an amazing writer, and I read a translation that was in verse, which even makes, like, when you rhyme something douchey, it makes it even seem more douchey. So anyway, there are 3 books in this poem, and the first 2 are about teaching men how to pick up on women, and the third one is out at teaching women how to pick up on men. But really, it basically instructs women on how to be more attractive to men. Really, anyway. So anyway, I'm going to read you some quotes. Now, there are a lot of quotes in here that are, if you read this, please, trigger warning. There are some that are offensive, very offensive, about, how to get a woman even if she doesn't want you, that kind of thing. These sort of, I like the sort of brutalist romance novels that sometimes are read, where the guy is like, you, me, woman, you don't want me, you will want me, I make you, kind of thing. I mean, listen, women write these for women nowadays. So, but just a warning, like, you could definitely see, I consider it unacceptable, but again, we just look on the internet and we see stuff like this every day. So anyway, let me read a couple of, and it's also super insulting to women, but I'm not sure if he means it for real. So I don't want to like throw Ovid under the bus, but there's some terrible, and this is you could just see a douchebag with slick back hair reading this back then. Why doubt that you can succeed with any woman in the world? Scarcely one out of many will say no. Willing or unwilling, they all find it equally thrilling to be propositioned. Just chance your arm. If you make a mistake and get snubbed, what's the harm? Okay, right? Douchebags. Just douchebags. A frivolous mind is won by small attentions. Many a man is scored in arranging a cushion or plying a fan or slipping a little stool under dainty feet of a sweet fool. So he's basically calling women dummies. And he's like, hey man, just give her a fan or a stool. Here's one that I really love. He's like, he's oh, it's like when you're watching a parade go by of like for the goddesses or whatever, when a girl asks the name of the kings or these foreign gods, towns or parts or mountains or rivers on the pageant cards, just answer all her questions. Oh yeah, just answer them. Don't wait to be asked. Just volunteer, even if you're guessing. So like another tip of being a douchebag, okay? One AD douchebags are the same as 2020 douchebags. That's my point. Here's another one. He's giving you tips on where to pick up women. He's like, don't miss the chariot races. The big surface offers a lot of chances for smart workers. No need of finger language here. No need to guess a nod. If a nod means yes, you could sit as close to a girl as you please. So make the most of touching thighs and knees. What a douchebag. Anyway, but in the middle of all this, he writes this incredible poem about Icarus and Diomedes. You know, the thing of Icarus. I started crying because it was so beautifully put, because it's like, oh, it made me actually feel for that story. This is a dude thousands of years ago. I know. So what I loved about this is that the pickup artist is never dead. Like, it's been since eternity. We're not different, guys. Okay, go to the club or go to the chariot races. Pick up a woman at a hockey game or the gladiator games. Like, it's the same. We are exactly the same as we were, except you shouldn't, force women to, you should not touch strange women. I mean, this guy is advising it. I'm sure the game would. Anyway, I wanted to read this one section to you. Oh, also, okay, two other things. First, then he's telling dudes how to dress, okay, which made me laugh a lot, because this is a dude who wore togas around, right? And he's telling dudes, this is how you dress to pick up ladies. Don't torture your hair with curling tongs or depilate your legs with pumice. That belongs to the eunuchs. Just casual chic suits men best. If you be neat and clean, when it's hot, tan, wear a toga that fits without any spots in it. As for your shoes, don't lace them too tightly, all right? When it's hot, take care that your buckles are rust-free, and never wear a size that's too large for your feet to swim in. Your hair should be well cut. Your head and beard need an expert's hand. Your nails should be clean. So make sure there isn't an obscene tuft in your nostril, and guard against halitosis. Don't be a prime goat. So like, he's just telling dudes how to clean themselves. It makes me laugh a lot. But this is universal, okay? Don't have a spot on your shirt. Don't wear shoes that are too big for you or rusty. I mean, I would not be turned on by a dude with rusty buckles, okay? No way. Don't make sure you don't have weird hair sticking out of your nose. That's lovemaking 101. So anyway, lastly, okay, so again, I said, if you read this, be prepared to be offended by a lot, because he does say, night turns any woman into a goddess. When it comes to judging faces and bodies, jewels or clothes, I always say consult the light of day. So don't be seduced by somebody in the club, y'all, okay? Make sure they're pretty in daylight too. What a douchebag. Yeah, this is basically MRA stuff. And they can go back to Ovid, 1 AD. But at the same time, Ovid is very playful and funny. And so I honestly don't know if he actually means this. It's not like modern day incel stuff where they're like, really believe this. Okay. The last thing I wanted to do from this was, in the middle of it, he's talking about playing board games. So I wanted to read this to you because it made me so delighted that to imagine a dude back in 1 AD trying to pick up a lady playing games. So if you're playing a game with her, throw the dice clumsily, make a careless move. If it's knuckle bones, let her off a forfeit if you prove the winner, and see to it that you low roll scores. If you're playing a game of robbers, let her glass man capture yours. Don't be too proud to hold her sunshade and make room for her through the crowd. If you feel a fool, placing a footstool for her pretty feet by the couch and easing her slippers on and off. So basically, I should be ashamed about offering advice about trivia, but girls should play knucklebones and dice and board games. You have to think ahead. Sacrifice or protect a piece, retreat or attack. For instance, in Trick Track or the war game, you mustn't be rash, but plan coolly when under a pincer attack when you lose a man. And if your lone king's driven back to where he began, there's spillikins, the problems lifting them one by one without the whole heap shifting. backgammon, a 12-point board game with the same number of zones as the tricky gear, and the game with a small board and 3 counters on each side. You fill 3 squares in a row for the kill. There are any number of all sorts of games and sports. It's a shame when girls won't learn them, for when they're played, friendships are easily made. So I want to know, he's kind of mansplaining games to women. Okay, this was from the women's section, that last one. But like, isn't it cool that, first of all, they play Knucklebones, which I want to learn how to play. Trick Track, which is a war game. They have a pincer attack. I know that there's Spillikins, whatever that is. They play dice. It's what if they play something called Robbers? Like, what is this? I want to know how they were playing board games back then. And backgammon. Who knew backgammon was that old? Is it the same backgammon that we used to play? I don't know. I think it's really interesting. But I like the idea of, and then also he goes on to say how if you play a game with someone, your true nature will come out. And so he's like, don't get too pissed off. So anyway, I just thought that was pretty fun. And I don't know how to play Spillikins or Knucklebones or any of these things. I don't even know how to play backgammon, to be honest with you. So maybe I'll start streaming backgammon. Me and Amy Okuda? No. I don't know if one of these things was chess or not. I don't know the history of chess, to be honest with you. But clearly backgammon goes back to the turn of the millennia, 0 AD. I don't know. Is it 0? Was there a 0? I think it was just 1 BC and 1 AD. There was no 0. Weird. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to move on to Metamorphosis. I think that's going to be more interesting, but there's a lot of assault in there because basically the Roman gods and the Greek gods would assault women all the time. And it's pretty terrible. But this is what they lived with all the time, because if you imagine, I think when we tell stories, we're preparing people for things to happen, right? And evidently in the society, if you were in a little village or even in, Athens got sacked, Rome got sacked, and what happens to women in those situations? So I don't want to talk more about that, but I think it's when you see the prevalence of something in a society, you know that that's probably something that people have to deal with. And thank God we live now. That's all I've got to say. Not that. Anyway. Okay. So gaming. Let's see. Gaming. I have nothing to say. I've been playing Ooblets. We are doing D&D with the guild. Again, which was so fun. I hope you guys can tune in on Sundays. We have 3 more episodes left on Sunday nights. I've been playing the Ooblets game, which is basically Pokemon meets Stardew or Animal Crossing kind of. It's very, very fun. Although I hate being poor in video games. Why can't I just cheat? And we played this really fun game. It was a sponsored stream, but it was called Free Fire, and it's this mobile game that was super fun. It's kind of like a Fortnite, but for mobile, I was really proud of myself because I figured out how to stream a mobile game. So if you ever want to see some, mobile games action, which I don't know what else I would do, but anyway, I had a great time. Although I can't play those games before bedtime because I can't sleep when I'm being hunted. So I got to kind of like sneak a match in around 2, 3, so my body can sort of relax. Oh, also me and Amy started playing Minecraft. And okay, this is like your grandma going like, hey, I just got a streaming service. I understand. Minecraft is like 400 years old, and every 5-year-old in the country knows how to play it. I never really played it. I'd loaded it up a couple times, but we just started streaming it. And I have to tell you, we streamed it the night before this podcast I'm recording. I thought about it all night, and all I wanted to do was wake up and make our house cuter. So I have a feeling that Minecraft's going to stick around a lot. And you know what? It's fine. You find things when you find them, you guys. I'm not defensive. All right. For TV, I didn't watch any TV. I want to be honest with you. This is kind of why I was like, wow, should I be not streaming too much? Because I used to stream 1 time a week. And like, my baby doesn't go to bed until 8:30. And like, I'm tired. And so I go to bed at about 10:30 to read. And Herodotus was, wow, that was a slog because you can't speed read that stuff. So I'm wondering, like, my TV is the thing that has really gotten, and I really want to watch The Old Guard and Warrior Nun really, really bad. So I'm literally, I put it in my calendar to watch TV this week. Like, and I've been writing, so I'm going to get there, you guys. I hope you don't not like me because of my lack of TV insight. Okay. Well, let's go to questions, you guys. And please send me questions with hashtag Felicitations on them on Twitter. And if you want to leave them in the Discord channel of Felicia's Adventures, Sean sometimes picks them up out of there. So please do that. Okay, let's go through these questions. Emma, I was watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I could swear that, wait, where's my question? Oh yeah, I was watching, no, that's Emma. That's not Emma. Emma, I messed this up. This is another person. I'm sorry. I'm looking at my notes. This is Ashley. Ashley Davis. I was watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I swear I could see some Felicia influences in season 7, like Andrew and the camera documenting. Tell us about that. I really am flattered, but I had nothing to do with that. I was a hired gun for that show. And I think last week I did mention that a turning point in my career was being on that show. And it truly was. I can't imagine being here without that show sort of boosting me, introducing me to fandom, to a place that I could belong, all of those things. But being on Buffy, it was an accident. They literally hired me the night before we were supposed to work, and I was a last minute character that was supposed to be a completely different background, and so I was just along for the ride. And I believe I said this last week as well, but I'll repeat this because it's a really funny story. Back in the day, people would drop scripts off physically to your house in paper form. Back in the old days, guys, we used real paper. And so all of us potentials would just go to the last page to see who had been killed off. And I'm pretty certain that at least one person was killed off because people didn't like them. I'm not sure. Or they rubbed one person wrong. I'm not going to even go into details about that, but that's my theory. So basically we just looked to see if we were survived. So I didn't have anything to do with, I guess my presence informed the way my character went, because God knows Joss took a shine to me and gave me a couple of great moments, especially in the finale, but I certainly didn't have anything to do with the stuff with Andrew, which is so great. I love Tom Lank so much. We need to get back to doing that thing we do on Twitch. So I just wanted to not ignore your question, Ashley, who's not Emma. But it definitely was not my influence. Next question. Richard asks, what is your acting approach to the Guild D&D sessions? It's a good question. Everybody's all over the place, mixing themselves in with their Guild characters. You're not as insecure as Codex in Guild real life, but Codex in the game was probably more confident, but we didn't see gameplay. It's a good question. And, I kind of grappled with this a little bit about how people were playing their character. I think that we're playing a version of our characters who we are now. So 10 years ago, I was not confident. I had no self-worth. I would say I'm marginally better now. I'm certainly not where I'd like to be. Before I die, I'd love to find the confidence just be it all. But maybe that's just life's journey for me. But I find myself, especially because I'm more experienced D&D player and the rest of the cast is newer at it, I feel like I kind of have to step up a little bit more to lead the game and push forward. And so the first couple RPG sessions, I kind of struggle with that because I'm like, well, it's not very codexy of me to jump in and push the story forward. But at the same time, I think for the story and for the experience of the other characters, I don't want to hang them out to dry. And I want us to have the best experience possible. And so I think I've kind of found a new tenor to Codex that's a little more assertive, a lot more, I'm not the guild leader, but certainly I'm pushier, trying to at least push story forward and think of, because if you're not an experienced D&D player, you're not going to think about doing a ability roll or necessarily do it. And I think as we played, we've gotten so much more comfortable with each other. Robin especially has come out of her shell so much. Jeff has actually learned how to play. He's so funny. And, I think me and Vince had the most experience with D&D. And so you can kind of see that in our boldness to jump in. But I think as the weeks have gone on, everybody has just really, their game has risen. And I'm so excited to just have fun with them. Thank you guys for so much for supporting and watching live and spreading word. We're not going to become Critical Role. We don't want to. We're just having fun. And that, honestly, having fun with them has been one of the highlights of my quarantine, as well as having fun with the community. So thanks. Thanks for that question. All right. James asks, out of all the gifts you've received from fans, what are the most memorable ones? Strangest, largest, tastiest, or any other category you think of? Well, there is a woman at Comic-Con who, I think it's at Calgary, I think. Anyway, she makes chocolates, and she makes the most delicious chocolates shaped like, R2-D2 and C-3PO and Gandalf and stuff. And I have to tell you, she would always drop chocolate off at my booth. And I have to tell you, it was such a highlight. I always try to give people like signed headshots because I don't like taking things from other artisans who like sell things. So I always am trading. I put headshots in my bag and be like, hey. And if somebody offers to give me a book, I'll be like, okay, I will only take this if you take this signed headshot, because I don't want to take from a creator when they should be selling that stuff. That said, a lot of fans do bring me gifts when I'm signing or doing a panel or whatever. And I have a whole bag of awesome. I have a shelf of awesome, and I will still have a shelf of awesome in my new office. And it's full of especially handicrafts. I have a thing for like the little dolls that people make of me. So like crocheted dolls. I love, my favorite are like the felt ones. I have one of just a redheaded elf or fairy sitting on a little mushroom. And I think it's the cutest thing ever. And it doesn't really have anything to do with me. It's not, I mean, it's just a redhead, but it's not like me as Codex or something, but I just think it's so pretty. For some reason, that sort of like wool crafting, the tufting, I really love that. And I also have a scanner, and if anybody gives me like a painting or whatever, I have like a portfolio of things I especially love. But when you have like hundreds of pieces of art, you can't keep it all. So I scan it all into a file. So I keep it. And then before I get rid of it or whatever. So it's hard, fans. I don't like taking, I mean, when I first had my baby, people gave me baby stuff, which I really appreciated. And I have a lot of stuff people gave me on the wall for Calliope and little stuffed animals and things like that. I take cupcakes as they look like they've been from a store just because I'm a greedy pig. And but that's not the reason. I think people like to just say, hey, here's a treat. I love giving people presents too, and receiving presents is great. Although a friend of mine who I will rename nameless, a famous actor, did say that one time when she was she answered the door and somebody who was a Huber fan of hers had found her house and offered her a horse. And the horse was in like a thing out front. She's like, I'm here because I love you. Here's a horse. And I was like, oh no, that is, yeah. She did not take the horse by the way. And she said, I'm really flattered, but I cannot have a horse. First of all, I live in the middle of Los Angeles. Second of all, please don't come to my house. No, anyway, that's it. All right, last one. Oh wait, Emma, I actually forgot your question. Emma did ask, and I didn't put a little banner there because I kind of, Emma, I've been to your dream island on Animal Crossing, and I was wondering if Ricky is a hoarder. What is with the junk in his yard, and what's your favorite part about your island? Thank you, Emma. Yes, if you are a dreamer, if you play Animal Crossing, you can come and visit my village now. I put a dream copy up there. You can check my Instagram. I think I Instagrammed the code the other day, and I updated a couple times because I wanted to lay the ladder so you guys could find the secret casino. And to answer your question, I do think the secret casino is my favorite because I had this area behind my island. I was like, what am I going to do with this? Do I terraform it up and just build? But I was like, it's not really big enough for anything cool. And then I was like, what if I dig? And there's that secret beach back there too, where Red Gun, oh, I hate that kid. I hate that fox. So anyway, I basically made this secret casino. So if you go to my dream island, pick up the ladder that's in front of there and try to find the entrance to it. Most people cannot find it. So I'm really proud of my island. There's so many things. And to answer your question about Ricky, he's a grumpy squirrel. And so I couldn't figure out, every single one of my citizens on the island has their own personality, and I make their yard reflect that. So Lindbergh, the kind of like, he's terrible. He's like a Big Lebowski kind of guy. He's a mouse with, like a 5 o'clock shadow, and he's wearing a shorty nightgown and no pants. It's really gross. I made him into this sort of mad scientist hacker, and I put like a server and like, all that stuff in his yard, and it's really trashy looking. I have Klaus, who is the greasy bathhouse. He's a bear, and he has really terrible dyed hair. So everybody chops my sort of, he's kind of dressed in sort of like World War I outfit, and I made him like a cosplay atelier. And then Tia has a little tea shop. So anyway, everybody has a theme, and Ricky is just a cranky squirrel, and he's my favorite, but I couldn't figure out a theme. So I was like, I'm just gonna make you trash guy. And squirrels aren't the highest class animals. So I just gave him, I gave Ricky just trash. He's got trash and toilets, standing up toilets, sitting down toilets, whole toilets, because for some reason my islanders love to give me toilets. So I have a copious amount of toilets, and I just put them all in his yard. So, and it makes me laugh because he is like the most centrally located. Like once you land, you see Ricky's house and you're like, this is going to be a nightmare, this island. It's not quite the nightmare it could be. So anyway, okay, last question is Onion Kitten. Kitten. Oh, Onion Kitten. What is your skincare routine? And I know I say the word kitten funny, okay? Don't shut up, everybody. Well, okay. So thank you so much, Onion Kitty. I am very proud of my skin. And I will tell you that probably 90% of it is my mom telling me one time when I was a kid, your best quality is your skin. You better protect it. And my dad, being a plastic surgeon, was always like, wear a hat, wear sunscreen every day, wear glasses. So I wear sunscreen every day. And I always make sure it's titanium dioxide or zinc oxide. I have known since I was a child that the oxycinnamonates do not protect you. They actually block some of the good things. So look on the back of your sunscreen and make sure that you have either micronized or regular titanium dioxide or zinc oxide. Yes, that stuff has a little bit of a whitish cast to it, which I can get away with. But at the same time, they have it micronized, so it's not quite as white. It's just a little reflective. And A, it works a lot more effectively. And B, it is safer because now they're showing that all those cinnamonates actually get into your bloodstream. I saw that the other day. So do yourself a favor. If you, when in doubt, just go for the baby mineral sunscreen. It's called mineral sunscreen. Highly recommend doing that instead. Wear your glasses and your hat. Try not to go out in the sun. And as far as, I actually posted an Instagram a while ago of my whole skincare regime. I guess I should do one with my face in it because people didn't really care. But what I do is I use this amazing face oil that is incredible, and I'm blanking on the name. I should have written it down. Flower and Bone, that's it, face oil, which I really, really love. There's a vitamin C serum that I use twice a week called Dr. Brenner's C serum, which is a much lower price knockoff of a very expensive one called SkinCeuticals, but Dr. Brenner has the same kind of formulation. I also use on top of that Weleda, which is sort of like this really thick lotion on top of that. And then I put Aquaphor under my eyes and sometimes my whole face. Now that is some thick stuff. And if you guys get breakouts, please don't do it because it is a bad idea. But I have extremely dry skin and it works for me. And it's not so expensive. All of that is probably like, nothing's more than like $20 or $30 each, which I consider to be pretty affordable when you do skincare stuff. I also use in the mornings this First Aid kit stuff. First Aid is like a Korean skincare brand, and they have this ultimate balm stuff that I put on in the morning, and it's very good. I also use snail mucin. Cosrex, I think, is another Korean skin. Yes, it's snail mucin. It's snail slime. It's amazing. So I highly recommend that. And then I use a couple of different sunscreens on my face every day. There's this place called Sunray that has organic, amazing, very thick, very white sunscreen. And then on top of that, I put SkinCeuticals tinted. Everybody's totally bored right now, aren't you? Onion Kitten asked, okay? Anyway, if you'd like a list, go to my Instagram and then just scroll back and you'll see a bunch of products in there and you'll see everything I do. The First Aid stuff is not in there. I recently started using that and it actually works very, very well. So highly recommend. Okay, that's it, you guys. That is it. I think that we're done here. I really appreciate you guys subscribing. Spread word. I'm doing this podcast live, but also uploading it video-wise to my YouTube channel. So if you are interested in that, go and watch it there or download it. I don't care. I'm just trying to have fun and innovate. So I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Felicitations. Bye. There we go, you guys. I did it. It was almost an hour. I talked almost an hour, you guys. I don't know how I do that. It's too much. I really, really, really want to get maybe a guest on here. I feel like, oh, look. Felicia, I know you not see this, but you gave me one of my drag on con videos. The season 2 had come out and you were there and signing when I was getting my DVD side. You looked past me and saw, I believe you said, are all these people here to see me? Was I ignoring you? I'm so sorry, Penguin. Lee said, I was writing all that down. Went to the dermatologist today. And yeah, sunscreen is important. I know, Lee. Really wearing a hat and glasses and also wearing a mask on your face is not horrible. Really, what you really need to worry about is this right here. And I can see many years. I mean, listen, we smile, and I'm not going to Botox my face. I mean, I will one day. I might do some Botox right here, but doing it around your smile lines means you're not smiling, right? That's me. Great podcast today. Thanks, Debs. I hope you guys enjoy this. If I do a lot more preparation for these now that I'm on camera than doing them at 10 p.m. at night when I'm tired. So I hope that the next stream will be August 18th, you guys. So let's see. I actually forgot to do that. Yeah, the next recording, our broadcast will be August 18th. My next stream will be tomorrow night, Friday at 7:30. I'll be playing Ooblets. Sunday night at 7, we'll be doing Guild D&D. And next Tuesday, we will be doing Minecraft again with Amy Okuda. Yeah, please check your sunscreen. It is not good. You can look all this up yourself. The best thing to do is just go to the baby section because a lot of the times they won't put the chemicals in the baby stuff, and just go ahead and do that. I think wrinkles are great looking. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I have to be on camera though, and then people in Hollywood don't agree with that. So it's always sort of a, yes, it's a Tuesday. So from now on, I was going to record this Tuesday, but I had a lot of construction. You might have heard some more bumping in the background, but I'm going to be doing Tuesday afternoons for this podcast every other Tuesday. So not next Tuesday, week after. And then Wednesday nights will be me and Amy. Thank you, Maggie May. Enjoy your stream. Thank you. I really appreciate you guys coming. Basically, leave this channel open all the time. I really want to do an interview show, you guys. So I have some plans to do something like that in September. Hopefully, you guys will enjoy it. We'll see what happens. I just really enjoy what I do. If you don't go outside much, you won't get sun damage. Exactly, vampire. And your name is the... Oh, thank you, Kiana. I don't go outside much either. Can we get Wheaton on the podcast? Okay, so just a heads up, I don't know exactly how to get the good audio for the guest. So I record on Audacity at the same time I'm recording here on and I use this company. I use this service called StreamYard, which is actually really great. But the StreamYard thing, I'm not using the audio from the actual video. I'm recording separately. So a good professional podcaster would record the guest audio separately and then combine those two. But I don't know exactly how to do that. And it seems like a lot of work and I don't have anybody to help me. So if I could figure out how to strip just the audio from a video, maybe I could do it easily, but I don't know if the quality will suffer if I don't use Audible. So I need to do a little research into that to see if I had a guest on. I mean, it's great because look, I can make a 2-up very easily in this program and just have a conversation with somebody and then rip the audio. So I'm also looking into ripping the audio for the Guild RPGs and putting that on an RSS feed. So some people have requested that maybe audio would be better for them. So we're working at it. EWG is a great resource for some care. Yes, EWG is a great resource. I use that a lot for, it kind of gives you the environmental ratings for the things you put on your skin. And if you start searching the stuff that you use, you will quickly change some stuff out. Some of the products I use on my face some of them were tested on animals. So I've kind of trying to phase those out and also substitute others. I had some other suggestions, but I assure you the facial oil and the vitamin C serum and the Weleda, those are always going to be staples for me. Anyway, thank you so much, you guys. I would love to have some of the supernatural people on as a guest. So I will try to do it. And I don't know how much more streaming I can add, but I love doing this. And I really, really, maybe we could just do a State of the Natural. That's actually a good title. Actually, that's a really good idea. Okay. Thank you guys. I'll see you tomorrow night. All right. Bye.